Brooklyn Independent Television.
Now let's meet filmmaker and Park Slope resident Jonathan Kesselman. He wrote and directed The Hebrew Hammer, a story about a Jewish Orthodox blaxploitation hero who saves Hanukkah.
My name is Jonathan Kesselman, and we are in Park Slope, Brooklyn. I am a filmmaker. I write, direct, produce, and mostly comedies, but also a little bit of drama now. I work in TV, film. I was a psychology major in college, and my emphasis was in neuroscience, and I just remember it just wasn't for me. I was slicing rat brains, and it was miserable, and I remember seeing a documentary on your show of shows, which was an old-time show with basically every great comedy mind was on the writing staff. It was Woody Allen and Mel Brooks and Carl Reiner and Neil Simon. And I remember seeing that show and just being just completely inspired. Like I was put on this earth to do this, and that was it. And when I got to LA, nobody was helpful in terms of like how to get into the business. Because I was frustrated by that, I decided to apply to film school and just basically learn how to do everything myself. And so ended up going to USC Film School, and while I was there, I realized that I love writing, but I was really, really good at directing, and I felt like that was my call. I just loved running the show. I loved writing something and then sort of realizing it and making it come to life.
Why don't you come eat by us for Shabbat? My Miriam is all grown up now. God willing, you should settle down and marry.
Yeah. Well, hey, thanks for the offer, Mrs. Kleinman, but right now, G-D is the only one for me.
I can dig it. Hammer, you're the baddest save the son of Tel Aviv.
Shabbat shalom, mama.
God, Jewish exploitation, and it sort of hit me that when you're doing comedy, you always look for that sort of that comedic discrepancy, that inherent sort of ironic sort of kernel. And so I got my hands on every blaxploitation film I could find. Starting with Sweet Sweet Badass Song, and Melvin ended up in Mario as well, being part of my film, and kind of got a sense of how the genre worked, and I took it from there and did the short, and the short became very, I guess the word is now viral, but at USC became like sort of a big hit there.
Shabbat shalom. Okay, I brought the Manischewitz Black Label.
I
like
can
it.
see you also brought a nice girl to eat by us.
What I love about the film and is that I made a true exploitation film. It's it's very politically incorrect, and they would have softened that. No studio film would have come out like that. An independent film producer in New York named Ed Pressman got his hands on it. So Ed calls me in his office and he says, so, I want to make this movie with you. Can you do it for $1 million? And my budgets up to then were maybe $1,500. And we really we shouldn't have. I mean, it should have been about $5 to $10 million to make. But I had just an amazing crew, and almost have ulcers there's ulcers literally on the inside of my stomach. With 22-day shoot, 33 locations all over New York. I'm from LA. Everybody thinks I'm from New York. I'm not. I'm pale, neurotic, talk fast, and I'm Jewish. And everyone just assumes I'm from New York. I don't know why that is. I think at the time people were scared of the movie because it was, this is pre-Borat, pre-Zohan, this was, and I think people they loved it, but they were scared of marketing it because, and then the Jewish community embraced it because they got it, and so it's become a kind of a cult film, which has been great. But in the end, it's kind of neat to see, to create a reaction like that. People get it, and people who don't, wanted to lynch me. If I'm working with a writer, another actor, or a crew member, I have rules of collaboration, and with actors especially, I say, look, let's just get it the way I wrote it once, clean and great, and then let's play, especially when we're tight, because, as long as the story needs to be there. But if some of the best stuff in comedy comes out spontaneously. So Mario played Muhammad Ali, Paula Abdul Rahim, the leader of the Quds Liberation Front, who is the Hebrew Hammer's brother in arms, and part of that whole thing was I grew up in LA. I didn't grow up in New York, and in LA you hear stories, about New York, about how blacks and Jews did not get along. I was like, what the? These are we're both people hate both of us. I never got that, and so I wanted to sort of address that in the script, where the Hammer and Mo are sort of they're both sort of they're brothers in arms. And Melvin does a cameo as Sweetback in the film, Right after the Hebrew Hammer is tricked and duped into going to a skinhead bar, he kills everybody in the bar, and as he walks out, Melvin steps up, his sweetback.
God damn, brother, you kicking ass.
Just taking a page out of Sweetback's book.
Mm-hmm. They bled your mama, they bled your papa, but they won't bleed you.
That's it.
Right on, man.
It was perfect. It was great. And Melvin was just, he was like, and like, we had no money. He's like, yeah, I got a costume. I'll bring my costume. Just tell me where to show up. And I'm like, because he started off, he made Sweetback for nothing, and so he understood. I never lived somewhere any time in my life where I feel like I'm in heaven. Like for the first year and a half when I moved here, every morning waking up, I was so happy just to be here. Like when I go I can go to the coolest vacation. I can go, like last winter I went to Buenos Aires for a week, and I've never been to a place where I don't care how cool it is, I want to get back to Park Slope and to New York. The thing I like about Park Slope is, I'm type A, as you can see, and living in this city, I love the energy, I love going in there, and it pumps you up, but I think my head would explode if I actually lived there for 24 hours, 7 days a week. The thing about Brooklyn is all the, it's just, I feel like I'm in the Cosby Show. Like, any second I expect Dr. Huxtable to come out, like, and I want to give him a big hug. Theo! Cliff! Felicia Rashad! Like, with the brownstones, and it's just beautiful, and amazing bars and restaurants, and it's just a more, it sort of feels like a neighborhood and a community, and like I walk down the streets and I know my guys like Manic and Muffin and at AOC, and it's just sort of something you never got in LA. LA was very disconnected and isolated. Here, you really feel like you're part of the community, and it's got everything that Manhattan has, but you can have your window open at night and sleep.
Download this program's podcast on iTunes. Keywords Brooklyn Independent Television.